everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. Thankfully, the BAFTAs were a really good night for fashion. We had many a lovely look and very few absolute tragedies. It's like a complete opposite end of the spectrum from the Grammys. A breath of fresh air. Several stars chose Gucci for the evening, and most of them were a great success, which is good because oftentimes Gucci is a little hit or miss. They can be really, really nice and lovely, but they can also be really horrible and tacky. Vivienne Oparah looked really exceptional in every way except for one. This is a really dramatic low back cut dress, and it's cut a little too low. In some of the video footage, you could see the actual top of her bum crack sticking out of the dress, and that's just not a good look. Let's just not do that, please. Plumber's crack on the red carpet is not cute. It's not sexy. If it had been cut just a little bit higher, where we didn't have butt crack showing in movement, then this would have been really, really fabulous. I even like the dramatically large buckle at the back. I think it's really great. Just, we don't need the butt crack, okay? Daisy Edgar Jones chose this cranberry dress with sequin shorts underneath, and it's okay. I think that the shorts cheapened the look just a tad, made it look a little more casual than it intended. So I'm not 100% behind it for the BAFTAs. I think it would have been really, really cute at the Grammys though. Ryan Gosling looks really polished, and it's a nice tux, but it's not my absolute favorite style. I think Paul Mescal had a better suit than Ryan here in this case, both from Gucci, of course, and the best Gucci look was from Sheila Etim. It's a drop waist silver sequined gown. It's looking incredibly beautiful and well done here. She could have benefited from a bit more volume in the hip, but overall this is a really great look, very well styled, very polished, and this is that sort of all over sequined silver metallics look trend that is still happening a little bit this year. But moving on from Gucci, we have a handful of stars who are notoriously hit and miss on the red carpet. We have Fantasia Barrino, for example, who had some serious tragedies, but she did manage to pull out a good look at the Governor's Awards, I think it was. This red look is better than some of her other ones. It's more flattering than some of her other ones, but it still left her looking really, really top heavy. I absolutely love this red color on her. It looks so vibrant and fabulous, but all this volume up top just needed a little bit more skirt to her, or maybe even like a peplum or something to just bring a little bit more balance, because she can lean a little bit top heavy herself. So if her silhouette of her dress is also top heavy with nothing to balance it, it can just throw things a little bit too far out of balance to look perfect. Emma Mackey and Sabrina Elba look really nice, but nothing like out of this world stunning or whatever. I think that Sabrina's jewelry and hair choice could have been improved for this very dramatic deep V-neck here. It's just not quite balanced enough for me. It's not really working together cohesively to look like in harmony, but it's still not the worst. She still looks classy and beautiful. And Meg Bellamy looked really nice, though this shoulder pad on this one side isn't my favorite. I think it brings some degree of balance to that asymmetry, but it's just maybe a little too severe. And Morpeth Clark's red dress is really nice. It's a classic silhouette and simple design that fits her really well. I do think it could have been spruced up with maybe an updo or a little bit more jewelry, just really complete the look and tie it all together. Another just sort of okay look came from Bryce Dallas Howard. I absolutely love her hair and makeup here. She looks super cute, but the rest is just a tad bit off with this dress. I even love how it looks from the waist down. The gathering here and the way it drapes out is really appealing, and it accentuates her hips in a really beautiful way. And the rose is fine. The silver color I even like. But the cutouts across the side, it is like an open back design, but these cutouts just come at such a harsh angle up towards her bust that they really kind of erase her boobs entirely and give it a slightly awkward finish across the waist. And the paneling here ends up giving the visual that it's lighter than the silver and thus more widening. So it's kind of taking away from her waistline, making her look a little bit more wide throughout the waist, which is really unfair. And then on top of it, she's got a dress that stops like around the ankle, and then she's got these really big, heavy, clunky, chunky platform heels, which I love those heels, but they're just a little bit heavy at the bottom of this dress and a little too chunky. So it left this overall look looking really weighed down and heavy at the bottom. I think it would have been improved if the exact same shoes were in silver that matched the dress really nicely, or a simpler style of shoe in black or silver would have been fine as compared to this particular combination. Another really popular choice for the stars at the BAFTAs this year was Louis Vuitton. Emma Stone's custom look was a peach one-shoulder gown with a statement puff sleeve in a nod to her character Bella Baxter. It also featured a silk bodice and a chiffon skirt with a quilted band, and it appeared to be inspired by that film's 19th century fashion. The sleeve is really dramatic. It's not my particular favorite. I get that it's very reminiscent of the film. So, I mean, that part I would give a pass to, and I would accept this look overall if the skirt were lined. The fact that this skirt is not lined, this chiffon skirt, is super sheer. You can see these darker peach briefs underneath. And that just completely ruins the look. It divided up the skirt, it made things look cluttered and clunky, it chopped up the vertical line even more, which we already have that happening with the band across the bottom, the quilted band along the hemline. But if it weren't for that, it would have been a really nice flowing skirt, and it would have looked really elongating and lovely if it had been lined, which in turn would have allowed the puff sleeve to be the main focal point of the dress, because the briefs now are competing with the sleeve, and then you have the hemline also pulling your eye down, and you further have these buttons along the side. So there's just a little bit too much pulling your eye away that then you end up focusing towards the center of the look, which is the briefs. It's not a good look. It's not cute. Lastly, the buttons along that side are actually accentuating her more rectangular shape. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that this sort of technique would really accentuate and very much complement somebody who had a more well-defined waist. And since she's just a little bit more straight-waisted, it unfortunately drew attention to the lack of a well-defined waist and just made her look a little bit more boxy and wide than she deserved. But in the same designer, we also saw Cate Blanchett in this really rich burgundy color. I quite like it, but I don't love the sleeve accents. They just look a little bit bulky to me, but I do like the rest of it, and I think the way she draped these necklaces was really interesting. It would seem that Sandra Bullock got the short straw for the evening because this is terribly unflattering. The skirt is amazing, but this thick, chunky waistband and this exaggerated pleated top just never should have been made. It is not doing anybody any favors whatsoever. Meanwhile, Phoebe Dynevor looks absolutely impeccable in this design. It can be a little tricky to pull this one off around the bust because it runs the risk of looking really droopy on some people or erasing the boob entirely on others. But she really hit the perfect balance here on this one, and the skirt looks like a dream of just absolutely soft, luscious satin, and her styling complements the dress perfectly. Also, we have Bradley Cooper, and I'm surprisingly not mad at this. I actually quite like it. The buttons and the well-tailored double-breasted suit jacket are really flattering to him. They look wonderful. They're very well done and tailored perfectly, but I am decidedly not yet warmed up to the idea of wide-leg trousers or flared pants on men at this particular stage, but this time it actually kind of works. I like this look. Some of the worst looks of the evening, however, included Divine Joy Randolph. Unfortunately, she was wearing Robert Woon, a London designer, and I do like the peach corset. I like the direction that this was going. There's just a couple of problems with it. So, it's not the absolute worst of the evening, but it's definitely not as successful as it could have been for her. All of these diagonal lines from this gorgeous corset are really helpful. This fabric gathering across like this is creating movement to the eye. It's preventing you from just resting in any one particular place across here, and it allows for a slightly slenderizing effect because diagonal lines are great at helping out with that. But this velvet skirt draping down across the upper thighs and hips created a less than flattering look where the peach and black meet. It almost framed the belly area. So it may have been more successful with diagonal layered draping rather than this sort of curved draped effect. But the rest of it I thought was really lovely and successful. I even liked the train coming down from the shoulder and the opera gloves as well. So the complete look was really nice. It just maybe could have been tweaked just a tad to continue the start that the corset top had in slenderizing and creating great flow and movement. Should have just been continued on in that velvet skirt in a slightly better shape. Vera Wang here has an exceptionally beautiful skirt, but I do not like this black stripe across the chest. I just don't find that very appealing. Celeste also I think had a great start, but the velvet paired up with these stockings and the styling overall came out looking too heavy and costumey. Plain tights were needed in this situation. It's just a little bit too much. Now velvet can go really nicely with patterned tights, and the evening is where to pull out the patterned tights. They're not a great option for daytime looks, so parts of this worked okay. But the fact that the dress has so much going on and so much different draping and shape to it and movement to it, it ended up kind of competing and dragging the look down having those patterned tights. India Amartifo, again, I like the top of this so very much. This is so gorgeous and beautiful. Like, I would love to have a top like that or a dress that started like that. But from the waistband down, I'm just not a fan. The belt details and the sheer skirt took away from the overall look. Again, it sort of made it look more Grammys, less BAFTAs. Wearing Erdem, we have Greta Gerwig, and this one could have been fabulous. It's much better than some of her previous looks. Look, side part, yay! Her hair and makeup look really, really nice. I'm okay with the jewelry. I saw some people not a huge fan of the fact that she layered up her necklaces, but I don't mind it actually. I think it's okay. Is it the best? Most perfect execution? No, but it is really good. I think if she had dropped the lower necklace with the huge chunker of a pendant, if she had dropped that a little bit lower, like more just down towards her cleavage, it would have looked better and given a little more distance between the choker and that one. It would have been better. But I still think that this is fine. This dress was originally a midi length, and this is what it looks like from the runway. And I'm glad that she had it made full length for this evening occasion. That was a really great choice. The dress may have been more successful with either opera gloves or some degree of sleeve, perhaps. I can't decide. I just don't absolutely love the way it looks up here with the thick straps. It's almost like they're out a little too far, like maybe if they would have been in further or had a little bit wider strap, like almost like a tapered strap where it was wider up here and then a little thinner towards the top of that sweetheart plunge bodice. I just think something could have been done to help this area look a little bit more flattering. Also, the waistline here should have been a tad bit lower for her. I respect the fact that the designer wanted it to be this sort of sculpted waistline, and they did this. We saw Rosamund Pike in that really floral Erdem dress that had all the rosettes all over it. That was sort of a peachy red and pinks. And that one had the same problem. The waistline just didn't have enough room to show up, and it ended up widening her overall figure and looking just a little funky. So it's really important, regardless of wanting some sort of structure or volume or sculptural element to the bodice and skirt where they meet, it's still important that the silhouette of the individual is kept in mind and respected. And in this situation, if it had been even just 1 inch lower, it would have really helped to give her a much more flattering look and would have been a million miles better and more appealing for her. On to literally the worst thing I've seen. Emma Corrin. No. This is horrendous. It's terrible. Why? Just ew, I don't like it. Not one little bit. Okay, wait. I have something positive. The shade of blue is gorgeous. And the rest needs to leave immediately. The top is terribly unflattering. What is it doing? The rest, the skirt thing, the bows, like the undies, the shoes, all of it is just horrible. I don't understand. It's like 3rd degree tragic. No one will ever be flattered by looking like they forgot their skirt or pants at home. This is Miu Miu, and the sheer skirts are something that designers are experimenting with for the 2024 spring runway and spring collections. I'm just not on board with fully sheer skirts. They draw all the attention to the briefs, and briefs are simply not the most flattering panty choice. They're just not like a sexy choice of panty. So it's just not okay. So we are in dire need of something better to look at, something to refresh us after that. So here are some of the more successful looks of the evening. I particularly like Topeka Patacones. It's so beautiful and ethereal. It's elegant, it's gorgeous in every way. I love it. Joy Sunday's latex dress here is really well done. Look, you guys, latex without a belly button. It is possible. It can be done. The color also looks absolutely stunning on her. She looks great. Kaya Scodelario in Jimmy Choo is perfection. I love it so much. I really, really like it. David Tennant looked really nice. Andrew Scott looked particularly nice as well. Armani Privé had some of the best of the night with one exception. Savannah Leaf in Emporio Armani, it's more retail level Armani, not so much couture, not Giorgio Armani. It just isn't very flattering. It has this thick, chunky waistband. It's very incongruous. I'm just not a fan of this look. But the other 3 who chose to wear Armani Privé looked fabulous. Claire Foy, Margot Robbie, and Emerald Fennels, some of the most beautifully dressed women of the night. Emerald Fennels has this hugely deep plunge with these rosettes down it. It just looks really, really beautiful and draws the eye right there with nothing else competing with it. And then the perfect bright red lip complements it lovely. Having an updo was the right choice for this. It is gorgeous and it needed nothing more. Margot Robbie's, I'm obsessed. I would wear this dress. I absolutely love it, but it needs maybe just slightly bigger cups. At least for me, it would. I love this in every way. This pink satin stripe, the sequins, the opera gloves, the hair and makeup, 100% lovely. It could have done with a necklace, but I still think it looks fine without. This is perfection. Claire Foy's, I quite like it, and I think her styling was lovely for it. It maybe could have done with a necklace. The fringe is a fun and different thing. The embroidery with these gorgeous sequined flowers are just very beautiful. It maybe would have been even more successful. It had a bit of a hue to it, a bit of like a blushy hue to it or something perhaps, but overall still really successful and beautiful. I only saw 2 ladies wearing Dior that evening, which included Rosamund Pike, and this one had such great potential. The skirt is amazing and flowing and gorgeous, and she really has a great frame to be able to pull off this really deep, dramatic sort of V-neck type situation. But the visible nude colored bustier underneath just really took away from it. It's very distracting. If it's meant to be visible, it needed to be in something like a darker color or something that matched the dress, or even like black or something would have been better, because it just didn't come across as intentional. It came across like she accidentally had her undergarments showing, or that she was trying to hide them or something because they're nude. So it didn't work. It doesn't look intentional enough. If it were in a darker color, it would be obvious that it's supposed to be part of the look and it would be fine. Carey Mulligan was wearing vintage Dior, and I love everything except for the boobs. I feel like the cups are just not the most flattering style, but setting that aside, I just would like to see her try color next time. Every single red carpet this year that she has been on, at least for an awards show that I have covered here on my channel, she is wearing black and or black and white, with mostly black though. And it just stands out because she's the only one that I've noticed wearing the same color every single time. So PSA, Carey Mulligan, let's see some colors, something rich and gorgeous, like a burgundy or a plum or a red or a lilac or pink. She'd look great in pink. I don't know. But the dress itself is really beautiful, and I think the choker was a great choice as well. A handful of celebrities wearing pretty big name designers were bumped from the best dressed list, starting with Iowa Debris in Bottega Veneta. The way the cups and the halter strap are designed and the way that they are laying on her make it look like it was a little bit too big for her up here. Almost just like she's not quite filling it out. Like there's just a little bit too much extra room up here. It could just be the way it's designed with the folds up here, or it could actually be the case that it has a little bit too much room. But regardless, I would give that a total pass if it weren't for this shawl. It's just a little bit noisy for this otherwise really classic dress, and this soft peach color I even like quite a bit here. I don't hate the shawl, but when I saw a picture of her without the shawl, it just completely transformed this look overall. But I will say this is one of her better looks so far this award season. Naomi Campbell in Chanel Couture looked really, really great. This is a very interesting look, but the skirt is so wrinkly that it made the overall look come across just a tad too messy. Mia McKenna Bruce in Carolina Herrera looks ready for high school prom, not the BAFTA's red carpet. It's also just a little bit heavy and bulky on her, this particular dress. It's almost like too much dress, or perhaps her styling is contributing to an overall heavy aesthetic. Hannah Waddingham and Oscar de la Renta could have been amazing. I really, really loved some of her previous looks. That cucumber green was fabulous, but this is just not quite doing the same for her. This high-low is not really working, and then the transition into the skirt really took away from her waistline very, very much so. So this came across looking heavy and widening, and again, that high-low is just looking a little sloppy. Sophie Ellis-Bextor and Antonio Riva, this is just a bit costumey. Now, she was there to perform her song, so I'd give that a pass, but it just wasn't my favorite. I think that if it were lined once again, it would have had a much more polished finish and just come across a lot nicer. And then in Prada, we had Lashana Lynch, and this is just a little bit heavy. If it had slightly more waist definition or something to just sort of rein it in across here, it would have flattered her figure much more, because it does have a full, tall, chunky, thick collar and cuffs, and the rest of it is just all monochrome. it just needed a little bit more form-fitting aspect element to it, or perhaps some sort of gathering or movement in the skirt to just elevate it and make it a little more flattering for her. But again, these weren't the worst. They could have made Best Dressed if they had just been a tad bit better. In contrast, though, these celebrities wore designer gowns and absolutely hit it out of the park, just looking absolutely fabulous in every way. We have Emily Blunt and Ellie Saab, and this looks so amazing. How gorgeous. First off, her hair and makeup are so sultry and beautiful. She looks spectacular here. And I think that the dress overall is daring and different and pulled off really, really nicely. The big sleeves provide an excellent balance to all those cutouts along the torso. I will say I was slightly drawn to under the boob. It almost looks like you can see where perhaps a bra or pasties or something, maybe like a stick-on bra, you can almost see a little bit of that there. So it would have been nice if the designer had just lined the under part completely so that whatever bra structure the wearer had on couldn't be seen. The rest of it doesn't have the same effect, and as you can see, there's actually a skirt lining. It is like mini skirt length lining, but there's a skirt lining rather than just straight up briefs. So Emily Blunt is on it. She knows what to do. She's not going out there with briefs, thank goodness. This looks really, really beautiful. I even would love to see it in like a pinkish tone too, like something a little bit blushy on her I think would be fabulous as well. But I still love it the way it is. Dua Lipa in Valentino achieved a perfect fit that flattered her figure fabulously. The waistline is hitting at the right spot, the flowy fabric looks graceful and lovely, it's a great color on her, it's simple, but I do like it because it's executed so very well. I do think an updo might have been really nice on this one as well. Florence Pugh in Custom Harris Reed, I like parts of this a lot. I really, really like the direction they were trying to go with this, and I'm so pleased with so much of this. It's so well done. The construction of this is impeccable. But the cups are just a little bit awkward across her boobs here. They're very, very far off to the side and super small. And she is small chested, but they still are almost like minimizing the bust that she does have. I think they could have been more flattering if they were just maybe a little bit more curved, a little bit different shape, or just a little bit different. And then the silver bodice has such an aggressive cut down at the bottom of it, creating this really narrow, steep V shape that again is just less flattering than it could have been. I think it just created a slightly awkward shape. It also makes her look more straight in the waist, more rectangular because of the location of where the bodice stops and the black begins so high up above the hip like this. It's just not necessarily flattering her figure as much as I think it could have. But again, I really like the direction that this was going, and I think with a couple of tweaks, just a tad bit more editing, it would have made Best Dressed list for sure. Her hair, makeup, and jewelry are also absolutely gorgeous. I love the way she did this necklace here to just draw the eye down to that main focal point of that silver bodice. And I also like how the straps are tapered. They're wider at the top and narrower at the bottom and are lined with a little bit of black to just really tie it all in together. So it was well thought out in so many ways, just not perfect. Loewe was another popular choice for the evening, but it had mostly tragic outcomes. Archie Madekwe's suit looks really high water. I still love the jacket, but it would have been so nice if it wasn't high water. Alison Oliver's is an absolute mess. What's going on here? Who did this? What's happening? The random stuck-on fringe is just really disjointed and messy looking, and then you pair that up with this random red dot up here. I'm lost. I don't like it. I think that her styling also was way too severe for this dress. It did not flow. Taylor Russell's has probably the most potential out of the looks from Loewe, but the feathered bits throw her a little bit out of balance because you can also see the skirt peeking out from above the feathered fluff. So that just created a sort of amateur finish and a cluttered look. Sophie Wilde's, again, it's just not that flattering to her figure. It gives the appearance of a strip of fabric just hanging down from her neck, and then the fabric change of the skirt underneath further messies up the look. So that was a little disappointing. I'm not quite sure what they were trying to do with this, but it did not translate well on the red carpet anyway. Other celebrities who missed the mark at the BAFTAs included Clara Amfo. This sheer top with the belly button and the awkward waistband placement resulted in a really unflattering look. I feel bad because this is just terrible. Cillian Murphy in a really classically Cillian look, is it not? I just haven't quite warmed up to the cummerbunds yet, so I'm just not there with him yet, but I do think he looks polished and great, and it's like, obviously, this is what Cillian Murphy would wear. It's totally his aesthetic and his vibe. I'm just not like 100% behind it yet. Michelle Keegan, I wanted to like this. I really, really did. But the combination of the fit plus this huge, really big dramatic lapel gave the overall look a really stiff appearance. It was just begging for a more nipped in waistline, and an updo may have helped to kind of elongate her up out of it and open her up a bit up here, giving it a less closed off, stuffy look. But I totally love tuxedo style dresses. It's just they need to be a little bit more figure hugging to keep that femininity about them and not swallow you up or make you look like just a frumpy rectangle. Not that she looks frumpy, it's just stiff. Coleman Domingo in Boss here, the pants are just too voluminous and wrinkled to be pulled off well. Rami Malek, I think it's just okay. It's a vibe, but it's just not quite as polished. I'm just not loving it. Then Dominique Sessa in one of the worst in Saint Laurent. It's a big no for me. Big no all the way. Don't like it at all. None of it. Lily Collins was almost super successful in Tamara Ralph. I think it's okay. The sleeves are a bit bulky, and then paired up with the silver embellishments on the chest, it makes me wonder if it would have been more successful if the sleeves and chest embellishments matched, like either both white or both silvery black, or even if the flowery sleeves were just black and then the center embellishments were silver and black. I think that would have been better, because altogether here it's just looking a little clunky and it's overwhelming her figure just a tad. Charitha Chandran in Sabina Balenko Couture looked amazing. This is so flattering and so beautiful, but the leaf decal over just one boob, I like it, and it's gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. But it does kind of make her look just a tad asymmetrical. But I mean, like, really, who cares? Because this is a great dress anyway. She is absolutely stunning in this. Marisa Alba in Fendi looks very classic, very beautiful, well done, great styling. Robert Downey Jr. in Stella McCartney looked absolutely perfect. I love this suit and I love his vibe. David Beckham also looked perfect in his suit, but you know who took Best Dressed Man of the night was Prince William in this absolutely fabulous velvet tuxedo. He looks perfectly suave. Everything is tailored to perfection. This is amazing. I love this suit. I want to touch it. It looks great. Also on the best dressed list were the two men wearing Burberry. Apparently I'm a sucker for velvet tuxedos and Burberry because these looked fabulous. Barry Keoghan and Callum Turner winning. Worst dressed of the evening includes Emma Corrin in Miu Miu Disaster, obviously horrifying in every way, Alison Oliver in Loewe, a chaotic, messy dress and worse styling approach perhaps, then Dominique Sessa in Saint Laurent. Best dressed besides the Burberry men and Prince William include Sheila Atim in Gucci, Margot Robbie in Armani Privé. Absolutely loved it. It was so fabulous. Emily Blunt in Elie Saab and Phoebe Genova in Louis Vuitton. Absolutely fabulous. Best dressed of the night, for sure. Missing, of course, from this list was Catherine, Princess of Wales. Surely she would have been on the best dressed list had she been here. Luckily, we will see her sooner rather than later at this point, and we wish her a continued and peaceful recovery, of course. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Be sure to leave your best and worst picks in the comments. I cannot wait to see what you think, and have a happy day. Bye!